G'day, legend, Sunken Dutchman here, and we got Nick as well.
I guess we're not waiting.
No, a little bit of nudity never hurt anybody. We have done
Might help reviews.
Maybe get my views up, eh? We are at it again. We're going to go for a sneaky cray bash, see if we can rustle up anything. We are good to go. Pre-dive poo's done. It's always better to poo before the wetsuit goes on, so that's a good thing. But yeah, not expecting much. The visibility is probably going to be a bit average, but we'll see you when we're out there. Hopefully we've got some footage for you. Cheers.
Cheers.
When we got to the spot, we jumped in and we were straight into it. Now, I had marked a hole with a cray, a big bull, on a previous dive I'd done, and I wanted to see if he was still there. So we swam over and he was there, so I was explaining to Nick that the best way to get this guy out would be to tag team, and I was trying to do my best underwater hand signalling to tell Nick where I wanted him to jam his hands, so when I had a grab, the cray wouldn't have anywhere to scooch back. When I dove down to have my attempt at trying to get this cray out of the hole, I noticed when I got underneath the shelf that he had already positioned himself right back at the back of the shelf, and there's this actual chute that he can duck into. I know this hole quite well, and I saw him sitting sort of right at that chute, so I knew that any movement towards him, he was going to just duck straight back. There was no chance that Nick was going to be able to get his hand in behind the cray. So in the end, I abandoned it, and I thought the only way I'm going to get this cray out is I'm going to bait him out, but today wasn't going to be the day. Knowing that that cray was shacked up, I wasn't too concerned. I could come back at another day and try and bait him out from a better angle. But what I suggested to Nick was that we just work a bit of coastline. So that's exactly what we did. We worked up and down a section of coast, and we probably did, I don't know, upwards of about 50, 60 dives and didn't really come across anything. Saw a couple of crays, but they weren't gettable. And, you know, we had worked a section, and then we decided, you know what? Rather than keep going, the ground wasn't sort of what we wanted. We thought we'd turn around, go back to the boat, and then start working the other direction. Now, once we'd made that decision, I, on the swim back to the boat, ducked under the first rock. And under the very first rock I ducked under on the way back to the boat, I came across a hole, and it had 3 crayfish in it. 2 big bulls and a smaller female. I said to Nick that he should have first go at trying one of those big bulls. Now in these clips we're doing some exploratory diving. We're trying to work out where the crays are likely to move, how much room they've got, and we determined that the cray that he had singled out to try and have a crack at could only really move left, and if it did move left it was going to get out of our reach. So I said to him, I'll go down and I'll jam my hand in the space where it could go left, so if it does I could grab it. But when he does go for the grab, go in, have a good attempt, and once he's got his hands on the cray, I was then going to jump back out and pull him out of the hole because it was quite tight. So we were ready to put our plan into action. I duck dove down, and when I got in the crack, I found the chute in which the cray could bolt left, and I stuck my hand in there as far as it could go. Now, I was waiting for Nick to have his attempt at the cray, and I could see that he was in, and I heard a bunch of commotion, so I knew he had his hands on the cray. Now, as soon as I knew he has his hands on the cray, I came round to where he was in the crack, and I immediately started to pull him out so he didn't get stuck.
Woohoo!
He's eating me.
Hi.
Oh.
You got it?
Yeah, but I want to get into the boat.
Okay. There you go. Hold it off yourself.
Hell yeah.
Well done, dude.
The coaching.
Oh, mate, all good.
That was sick.
Woo! That's sick. That's a good cray, eh? That's awesome. He's a ace.
That is awesome.
He's a ace.
Another cray in that hole.
Now that Nick had pulled that cray and we had put it all away, it was my turn to have a crack at the other bull that was sitting in there. So we made a bit of a plan. Nick was going to go to one side of the crack and make sure that the cray didn't bolt backwards, and my intention was to go in as far as I could, get right up in this crack, and yeah, just slowly work my way over the cray's horns, and when my hand was in position, have a good lunge and get a good hold, and then yeah, pull it out. Now, although I originally thought that this was a bull, when I managed to get the cray out and flipped it over, I realised it was a large female. So I was quite stoked with that.
Like that.
How is it? Do you need help? Nice. Oh, yeah.
What do we got here? Jenny, you went 16 and a half. And this big motherfucker, he went, oh, come on Jenny, get it right. Oh, 18 and a half, what a whopper. That's a good cray. Good work, Nicky boy.
That whole area was such a good find.
Yeah, I know. Last minute. Get out of it, you dickhead. We already know each other.
Yeah.
After we'd sorted those crays out, Nick mentioned that he wanted to go get some abs, and I'd actually noticed a bunch of goaties milling about on my swim back to the boat, so I decided that I was going to go and target them for a little bit. This first goatee that I found wasn't typical. Typically when I find goatees, I like to hit the seabed and wait until they come in to me. But this one was swimming away, so I sort of gave it a little bit of a stalk and followed it for a bit. And as soon as it gave me a broadside shot, I took it and managed to stone the fish. As I like to do with all fish, as soon as I get my hands on them, I brain and bleed and gut them in the water. Just saves a bit of mess at home. Sometimes I think that these fish, they look a little bit out of place in Victoria. They look like they belong at the Coral Sea with the beautiful pink colour and the electric blue striations that come out of their eyes and through down to their nose and mouth. I reckon they're an incredible looking fish and very tasty as well. This next goatee that I got was very typical of how I hunt them normally. I had spotted the school from the surface, so did a duck dive down and bellied out on the bottom. Now when I hit the bottom, you'll see here that I constantly look down. Now I'm doing that because a quick way to not shoot fish is to stare at them. If you can avoid eye contact, you'll actually pique most fish's curiosity and they will come in and check you out. And adversely, if you stare at fish and swim straight at them, they will surefire turn around and swim the other way. Now, the reason that I'm scaling these fish is because with goatfish in particular, I actually like to eat their skin. With fish that I'm not going to eat the skin, I typically leave the scales on just because it's a bit easier to skin the fillet at home, unless the scales are really chunky and make a bit of a mess. But definitely, if I am going to eat the fish and eat the skin, I will scale them in the water just to avoid a bit of mess at home. This next goatee that I found was again a very typical scenario. I spotted a small school from the surface, so just very quietly, very calmly made a duck dive down and made a conscious effort not to look around and just head straight to the bottom. I knew that once I got to the bottom and just lay there, I would pique the curiosity and they would come in and give me that broadside shot that I want, and sure enough, yeah, managed to stone this one again. I'd said to myself that I wanted about 4 fish. That would do me fine for what I was going to cook with them. So there was one more to get for me. I'd already managed 3. And again, I found a school pretty quick. And yeah, typical scenario. Saw them, duck dived down and hugged the bottom and then just waited for them to come in. When you wait like that, you actually get to have a bit of choice. You can really pick out the biggest one in the school. So that's what I did on this occasion, and again, waited patiently until it gave me that broadside shot, and then yeah, managed to stone this one again. I had my mum visiting for the weekend, and she had put in a special request for a fish for her as well. So my mum, being one of those people that doesn't like fishy tasting fish, I've got to really be selective with what I give her, and I thought a blue throat wrasse would fit the bill quite nicely. For those that haven't eaten them, they're a pretty neutral tasting fish. They're not too fishy, they're quite forgiving, they're moist, so you don't have to be super on top of how you cook them. So I thought, yep, I'll take a blue throat wrasse and I can give that to her when I get home. After that little session on some fish, our attention turned back to crayfish. Nick did want to bag out, and I was pretty keen to find him a cray so he could do that, but all of the crays that we found from that moment forward were just too hard to get. They were tucked well and truly up the back of caves, and yeah, luck wasn't on our side for the rest of the day with crays. A cool little consolation prize though, when we were in the shallows looking for crays, this baby sweep came thumping up straight to me, and he was swimming between my legs and around my fins, and he was quite comfortable with me and actually let me pat him, which was quite strange, and you don't see that in fish all that often. And that was a wrap for us. We were super stoked with how good the conditions were. We were super stoked that we both managed a cray each. Nicky got himself a good feed of abs as well. I managed to get a good feed of goaties and a fish for my mum. So all in all, a cracker day. And the fact that it was just a glass out on the way back was just even better. So with that said, guys, hope you get out, have your own adventure, get wet and get stuck into it. Cheers.